Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor Melcher, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So I'll walk you through the buttons, the functions, and all the menus and settings that you'll need to know to start shooting with this camera right away. So with that being said, let's get into it. To turn the camera on, just swipe the screen and it'll boot up in a couple seconds. And on the right of the handle, you have the record button. And on the left, you have the joystick that you can use to control the camera. If you click the joystick 2 times, it'll recenter the gimbal. If you click it 3 times, it'll turn around for selfie mode. Hey. And if you hold the button, it'll basically do a gimbal lock. So no matter which angle or direction you move the handle, the gimbal will stay locked. And the micro SD card slot is on the left of the gimbal right next to the joystick. On the bottom of the camera, you have the USB-C port for fast charging, but you can also use it for connecting accessories like the tripod handle or the extendable battery grip. And both the battery and the regular Osmo Pocket 3 grip have 1/4-20 threads on the bottom, so you'll want to use one of these if you need to attach it to a tripod. And there's 2 ways to shoot vertical content. The first option is to swipe the screen vertical and click continue, but this is going to switch to 3K resolution and it's going to crop the width of the sensor, so you're not going to utilize the full height and width. So the second option that I'd actually recommend doing for vertical content is swipe the screen back to horizontal. And now what you're going to want to do is just rotate the handle 90 degrees, and this is going to allow you to use the full height and width and also shoot in 4K resolution for vertical content. And to switch back to horizontal, just tilt the camera back upright and now you're good to go. Also, if there is something that you want to focus on, all you have to do is tap the screen once and now it'll lock focus on that subject. And if you tap the screen twice, it's going to enable active track. So basically, if you have a subject in the frame, wherever they move, the gimbal will track them. And to turn active track off, just tap the screen anywhere once, and then it'll lock focus and then reset. On the bottom right corner, you can just tap this little icon and it'll make the camera either front facing or rear facing. This little plus or minus icon is a toggle that you can use to either zoom in to 2 times or zoom out back to 1 times. And if you tap it once, now you can tilt the gimbal camera down or up. On the bottom left of the screen, you can switch between different modes, between photo, panorama, video, low light, slow motion, and time lapse. The symbol in the left middle section of the screen, you just tap that and you have face auto detect, which basically you can start this, and whenever there's a face in the screen, the camera will track it. And to disable those modes, just go back into that little menu setting and click exit. And you also have dynamic framing and spin shot. So what dynamic framing does is once you click start, you can basically click any part of the frame that you want to lock onto your subject. Once you click the joystick in, now it's going to have active track enabled and it's going to keep your subject in that part of the frame that you selected. For spin shot, you have 90 degrees and 180. First, I'll show you 90. So basically what this is gonna do, once you click this little rotate, it'll rotate the camera for like a cool spin shot. And you can click the arrow on the right to redo it. And then if you select 180 degrees, it's gonna point the camera straight up. So then you can just tilt the camera 90 degrees forward. And once you click that little rotate, it'll rotate a full 180 degrees. And you can use this to get some fun push-in shots that have some dynamic movement. Now, if you swipe up on the screen, you have your resolution, your frame rate, and you can also switch between your different aspect ratios. I would never recommend doing 1:1 because it's just going to give you a square aspect ratio, and that just crops the sensor. So I would always recommend sticking at 16:9. Personally, for me, if you want auto exposure and just a fun, nice vlogging experience, 4K 30 is perfect. If you swipe left, this is where you can play back your footage. In the top left corner, you can just click that little box, and now you can see all of your photos and videos. If you swipe right, this is where you'll have your camera settings. So by default, all you're going to be able to control is the glamour effects or the image adjustment, which is just adjusting the sharpness and the noise reduction. So what you'll want to do is click where it says Pro on the top right, and now you have much more control over your image and also your audio. So for the exposure, you can go in auto, and personally for me, again, for everyday vlogging situations, I set my ISO between ISO 50 and 1600. And then EV stands for exposure values. I find -0.3 stops to be perfect, but if you do want full manual control, you can switch to the little M on the left, and now you can control your shutter speed and your ISO. And one cool thing is that you can lock in your shutter speed, but if you still want auto ISO, you can do that as well. And if you tap where it says EV, you can also set it to -3 EV as well. Or if you scroll down a bit, you can manually set your ISO right there. Now for white balance, you can choose between automatic or you can choose manual, which personally, if you are color grading your footage, I would stick to manual white balance. Glamour effects you can turn on, and if you want all the options, you will have to download the DJI Mimo app. I personally leave glamour effects off. And then the color profile, you have normal, HLG, and D-Log-M. Normal will be a standard Rec 709 color profile, but if you're like me and you like to color grade, I would skip HLG and go to D-Log-M. This is going to give you a more flat, desaturated color profile that'll give you much more flexibility to color grade and add your own personal flair. For focus mode, you have continuous, you have single, and you also have product showcase mode. So continuous is perfect for almost every situation, and product showcase if you are doing something like an unboxing. Now for image adjustments, I personally keep my sharpness at -2 and noise reduction at -2. This will give me the most natural looking image possible. And next up we have our mic settings. So for channels, you can switch between stereo and mono. If you want noise reduction, you can turn it on or off. And then directional audio, I personally just leave it in all, and I find that that sounds pretty good. Now, if you did get the creator combo with the DJI Mic 2, you can turn the mic on with the power button on the right. Now, automatically your mic will be connected to the camera. And now, as you can tell, the audio settings are just for the DJI mic. So you can go in and adjust the gain. You can mute the transmitter if you want. And you can also turn noise reduction on or off as well. And as you're using the mic, that little green line on top is monitoring your mic. So say if you are peaking, if you see that red dot, that means it is too loud. So you can just bring the mic a little further away from your voice, or you can turn the gain down. So now we're gonna swipe down and go into the full menu. So on the top left, the little person icon, basically this will allow you to save all of your custom settings. So you can just click the little add. And these are all the video settings that I have currently. So I can just click confirm. And if you click the video icon on the left, this will be where you can find all of your custom settings if you save them. And you can also add more if you like. This little rotation icon here, if I toggle on screen rotate and capture, now I'll just turn off the camera real quick. And every time I swipe open the screen to turn the camera on, it'll instantly start recording. I personally wouldn't use this feature, but it's there if you need it. This little sun icon is brightness, and personally around 50% is pretty bright for most situations. In the top right corner, this is the face tracking selfie mode. So if you tap this, it's gonna turn face tracking on, and every time you go into the selfie mode, once it detects a face, it will automatically track everywhere that your face goes. Now in the bottom right corner, you have all the different gimbal modes, and it describes each gimbal mode pretty well. So if you want to, you can definitely check all these out. I would personally just leave it in follow mode. And next up is rotation speed. This is gonna be how responsive the gimbal will be when you turn it or pan it. You can test those out for yourself. I prefer to have it on slow. That way the gimbal movements look very smooth. And this little picture icon with a mountain refers to the different orientations of your screen. I would prefer just to leave it in auto rotation. And this icon on the bottom left corner, this will give you some of your additional settings. So as you can see, you have your wireless mic settings, you have your gimbal startup direction. So maybe if you always want your gimbal to start up in selfie mode, you can click backwards. Now rotate screen to power off. So what this is gonna do is every time you rotate the screen to vertical, it'll automatically turn off. Wearable mode, this is basically if you do want to mount it on like a chest mount or something like that. Built-in mic audio backup, which if you're getting your audio on the DJI Mic 2, you also want to have backup audio, you can just leave this on. You have your different types of connections that you can do. Gimbal calibration, which every once in a while, I definitely recommend putting your gimbal on a flat level surface and letting it recalibrate. Joystick speed. This will allow you to control the gimbal and the zoom speed. Personally, I leave both at 2 because I like having a slightly slower speed for smoother shots. And reference line, this is where you can actually put grids or guidelines onto your monitor if you'd like. Anti-flicker, if you are seeing a flicker on screens or lighting scenarios, you can go in and control that. And there's a few more settings. You can format your SD card, or you can even factory reset the whole camera. And that's about it. All right, everyone, so that is how to get started using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And as you can tell, it's a pretty simple camera once you get familiar with some of the settings. And if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't purchased the camera yet, but you're considering it, feel free to click my affiliate links in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.